try to start sitting closer to the camera in some of these, and I feel like the one where I look the shittiest was not the one to start this. I literally have no makeup on except false eyelashes, and I'm about to pull an all-nighter. Currently in the process of pulling an all-nighter, I guess I should say. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Becca. Hi, there's like 10 plus new people that just subscribed to this channel in the past couple of days, so if you're new here, hi. How are you? Probably a friend from Facebook, but still. Welcome back to my journey to review every single movie Robin Williams has ever made. We have a rough one today. Beep beep toot toot. It's 1990s Cadillac Man. This movie stars Robin Williams as a Joey O'Brien, a used car salesman with like 5 mistresses who is just generally an all-around shitty person who one day suddenly becomes a superhero, sort of, when he saves a bunch of people from a crazy guy with a gun. This movie is directed by Roger Donaldson, who also directed Cocktail, which is a big oof. It also stars Fran Drescher, Tim Robbins, Pamela Reed, who was also in The Best of Times with Robin Williams, and Lori Petty, who you might recognize as Lolly from Orange is the New Black, if you lived, slept, ate, and breathed that show for most of its runtime and then were gravely disappointed in it in season 5 like I was. I didn't like this movie at all. This was happening after Dead Poets Society, around the time that Robin wanted to move his new wife Marcia and their new daughter Zelda back to San Francisco, but he had some shooting contracts in New York that kind of kept them here for a couple of years. This was the first one. It was shot in Queens on location in a used car lot. Robin took the part because it reminded him of his father. His father spent a lot of years in the automobile industry. He said it was more lighthearted than his recent works, which I'm going to have to honestly disagree with. And he was allowed to improvise in some of his scenes with Tim Robbins. Robin talked about in an interview a little bit how there was a lot of studio interference like after the film had already been shot, and it took a lot of the edgy jokes out or something. When Robin was asked if he should have made the movie, he said, "I don't know." So you got a rousing endorsement there. Like I said, I didn't care for it really at all. Basically from the first scene of this movie, you know that this character is a fucking irredeemable scumbag. And at first it's kind of funny, like he drives past a funeral where the hearse broke down and he like starts trying to sell cars to people at this funeral, and that's kind of funny because it gave me the like It's Always Sunny type vibes. They're like, oh, these people are so terrible, but like you love to see it. But then the whole rest of the movie is just like worse and worse. Like one of his mistresses is a woman who's married to somebody else and is also Fran Drescher, whose boobs I had to see in this. He has another mistress who he kind of treats like shit, and he spends all his money on women, and it's just like he's so shitty. And there's one scene where it all kind of peaks that gave me so much anxiety, where like 8 different people are screaming at him and he's like bouncing back and forth. It's right before like the climax, I guess, of the film, where the guy breaks in with the gun. And thank God for that, because every scene with the gun was far less intense than that one moment. And I would honestly go so far as to say that this film is boring. Robin's character is complete trash, and the whole finale of the film, like the last 10 minutes of the film, is literally every character walking up to him and being like, "Oh my God, you're such a great dude. You are the greatest man alive. I will praise you till the day that I pass away." Like every single character. I wish that I was joking. There's also an element that is really only in the first 20 minutes where Robin's character breaks the fourth wall and talks to the audience about like, well, I've got this mistress and like, should I try to sell these cars to these people at this funeral? And I think I would have bought it if they had kept it going, but the monologue isn't consistent enough for it to be a good choice, or even really a choice at all. As far as jokes go, it looks like the 90s is not the era where we will get out of the racist jokes. There is a whole ass scene in a Chinese restaurant across from the dealership that's just Robin and every other guy who works at the dealership making racist jokes with a racist caricature, and it's really, really unfunny and very cringy to watch. The big push forward in this movie is supposed to be that like Fran Drescher is like, "I want you to commit to me," and he's like, I don't know about that. You have a dog that's annoying. He's trying to set up a college fund for his daughter, and also is like still in love with his ex-wife, basically, and he is approached by the people owning the dealership, and they're like, "We're about to downsize. You have to sell 12 cars by tomorrow or you're fired." And he's like, "Oh no." And you would think that from there the movie would get going, and that is just simply just not the case. He spends like the next 30 minutes with women. The plot point that you think is going to drive the whole movie of him having to sell 12 cars or else he gets fired. Nothing is said about that for like 40 full minutes. And then that even ends up not being the thing because the guy breaks in with a gun. And I just like, I was not invested in what was going to happen at any point. I guess technically the part with the Tim Robbins guy and the gun would be the best part, but that was the part I found myself the least interested in. The second mistress, Lori Petty's character, was like not needed at all. She doesn't add anything other than being annoying. It was set up like it was going to be a really grim comedy, and it just didn't keep that tone. It stayed more like dramatic, and the jokes that there were, I wasn't like sure if they were really jokes or not. That's sort of what Roger Ebert said. Roger Ebert gave it 2 stars, and he said he had problems with false expectations of the film, which I generally would agree with. Reviews in general were mixed to poor. This movie actually caused some critics to say that Robbins' Oscar-nominated performances, he's been nominated for 2 Oscars at this point. This movie caused some critics to say that those performances were not representative of who Robin Williams really is, like this kind of stuff is. The Detroit Free Press specifically wrote this, which I have some things to say about. Robin Williams wants to be an actor. He wants to win an Oscar. He wants to not be Robin Williams. When people go to see his movies, they want to see Williams as Williams. They don't want to see him slipping 3/4 of the way under the skin of some other character. I both agree and disagree with this because I think that some of his best roles are him playing a character that doesn't have elements of him at all. Like, the character in Dead Poet Society is barely Robin Williams. I would dare say that Sean from Good Will Hunting is only a little bit Robin Williams. 1 Hour Photo, not Robin Williams at all. Those are all stunning performances. So I would not say that, like, but when I think of my favorite Robin Williams movies, they are the ones where he's doing the impressions and doing the manic stuff that he does best, like the stuff that you think about him for. Like Good Morning Vietnam and Mrs. Doubtfire. That is a complex statement. It's rude, for starters, like to say that Robin Williams wants to not be Robin Williams, but I don't know. Those are my thoughts. That's my thoughts. I both agree and disagree with that. Like, it's a statement, it's a take. It's just interesting that this is the movie that brought about something that hot of a take, when that is really, this movie is one that I don't think I will ever think about again after I post this review. If you're interested in watching it, I hope you have stars, because that's all that it's on. Hulu Prime, stars. You all have to have the stars add-on to even think about watching this. So I guess you probably just won't, and you'll probably be fine for that. Next week, I am bringing on another guest to talk about Awakenings, which, if you haven't heard, is basically a straight-up Oscar bait, mental patient doctor thing. I've heard both good and bad things about it, so I am interested to have that conversation. I'm tired. I'm starting to get tired, and I have many more hours to go, so